Goedemiddag collega's. Good afternoon colleagues. Molweni, Bazalwana, Nodate. A hearty welcome to the last staff assembly of 2019. Baie hartlik welkom by die laaste personeelbyeenkoms van 2019. This occasion is usually a reflective one, where we look back on the year that was and we report from the last council meeting. Sure, we are glad that we survived another year, and what a year it was. It is with a sense of deep gratitude that we are readying ourselves to round off the work of 2019 and to take a well-deserved rest. Dis met 'n sin van diepe dankbaarheid wat ons nou gereed maak om die werk van 2019 af te rond en om 'n welverdiende ruskans te neem. Colleagues, we are also mindful of the fact that students, staff members, and other people associated with SU who have started the year with us have passed on and are no longer with us. Ons is bewus van die feit dat studente, personeellede en ander persone wat geassosieer met die IS was en die jaar met ons begin het, nie meer met ons is nie, omdat hulle gedurende hierdie periode afgesterf het. Let us rise for a moment of silence to acknowledge their passing. Thank you. As I said earlier, this is the last staff assembly for 2019. The Rector, Prof. Wim de Villiers, will be the only speaker at this meeting, and he will provide a brief overview of the year. There will be opportunity to thank staff for the contribution that they've made to this great institution during the year of 2019, and to provide some feedback from the last council meeting that was held on Monday past. And then this time, there will be ample opportunity for you to ask questions from the Rector and his management team, who is present here, with the exception of Professor Nico Koopman, who is abroad, and Prof. Stan du Plessis, who has to attend to other urgent business on behalf of the university. Afterwards, you are invited to eat and drinks here in the foyer. Maar laat ek nou eers ons gasheer en gasspreker, gasheer en spreker, Prof. Wim de Villiers voorstel. Firstly, Prof. Wim, we want to extend congratulations to you on your reappointment as Rector and Vice-Chancellor for an additional term of 5 years. Prof. Wim de Villiers also plays a wider sectoral role in higher education in South Africa. He was recently reappointed as Vice Chair of Universities South Africa, and he is the Chair of Higher Health, formerly known as HE-AIDS. Further, he is an active participant in continental and international higher education forums, consortia, and network organizations, like the Association of Research Universities in Africa, ARUA, like the Association of Commonwealth Universities, etc. If you believe in the weird and wonderful stories written about him, especially in the Afrikaans papers, you may think that he's a dodgy character. But as you will see, he's actually quite a nice person, and all of that is devoid of any truth. As staff, you have received a full report from an independent investigation that exonerated him from wrongdoing that was alleged against him by certain parties. Dames en heren, Director en Fisiekanselier van die Universiteit Stellenbosch, Prof. Wim de Villiers.
Goedemiddag. Good afternoon, Molweni. Baie dankie, Jerome, vir die bekendstelling. And I'm so pleased that so many of you are able to attend this afternoon. The poet T.S. Eliot, in his poem *The Hollow Men*, said in the last two lines of that, this is the way that the world ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper. It certainly doesn't feel as if the year is ending that way. It definitely feels like it's ending with a bang. But I'm really pleased that you're all here, and I'm pleased to be providing you with this brief update. So I'm going to start off by showing you a short video. So you're getting a preview. It will only be distributed tomorrow. So I decided to take the 2-minute challenge inspired by New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. So please hit it.
Hi there, a big thank you to all our staff, students, alumni, donors and partners for helping to take Stellenbosch University forward this year. 2019 was another year of highlights for us. Let's see how many I can fit into the next 2 minutes. Start the clock. We've received 45,000 first-year applications for 2020, 6,000 more than last year, and the main reason provided by applicants is our academic reputation. Our students' module success rate remains above 86%, one of the highest in the country. Funds raised for bursaries increased by 82% the past 5 years. Thank you very much to everyone who opens doors for our students. We awarded more than 9,000 qualifications the past academic year, 52% at postgraduate level, including a record 308 doctorates. Our African Doctoral Academy turned 10 this year, and we now have 20 agreements for joint PhDs with top universities around the world. We're the only university on our continent invited to join the prestigious Global Alliance of Universities on Climate. We're well on our way to becoming Africa's leading research-intensive university with our new vision and strategic framework, which came into effect this year. We've gone up in world rankings again, placing us in the top 1% of universities globally. Our business school's MBA is now #1 in Africa. 473 of our academics now have a National Research Foundation rating, an increase of 92% the past decade. We've lodged 127 patents the past 10 years, the most in the country. Our launch lab was named the top business incubator at a university in Africa. A Marty student in her second year won a big prize by inventing an edible straw. Our electricity consumption has dropped to 2008 levels. Water use is down 51% and we recycle 55% of our waste. We launched a school for data science and computational thinking. We established 7 new alumni hubs around the world, which brings our total to 22. Retired Constitutional Court Judge Edwin Cameron has been elected our new Chancellor from next year. He will succeed Dr. Johan Rupert, who has provided exceptional service the past decade. More than 400 of our staff members and 500 students together devoted 138,000 hours of service to communities the past year. We're setting up joint working groups to combat gender-based violence. We received a large grant to develop better treatment for children with multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. Campus renewal is going well, with 147 capital projects underway and various initiatives to make everyone feel welcome. We're investing substantially in ICT for blended and hybrid learning and teaching. Marty's Rugby once again won the Varsity Cup, and a world champion choir will defend their title in Belgium next year. Wow! Maybe a little bit more than 2 minutes, but there's just so much to cover. It's really an honor for me to lead Stellenbosch University, and I'm looking forward to my second term starting in April. Good luck with your final duties for 2019, wherever you may find yourself in the world. Enjoy the break and everything of the best for 2020.
So that's your university. Great, wonderful. So as you can see here the university in its numbers, almost 32,000 undergrads and occasional postgraduate students, and in terms of our academic and professional and support service staff, 4,653. The convocation. So the convocation meeting took place on the 14th of November. It was attended by 253 members of the convocation, and Dr. Leslie van Rooij was elected to the position of Vice President of the convocation with an overwhelming majority. So, na aanleiding van die verslag van die van die voorverslag wat vrygestel is, het advokaat Jan Jonas toe bedank as president van die konvokasie, sowel as meneer Bernard Pieters, sekretaris, en Daleen van Sail as addisionele lid. Nou, volgens die statuut is die doel van die konvokasie om die welsyn van die universiteit te bevorder deur 'n wederzijds voordelige verhouding tussen die universiteit en die lede van die konvokasie te handhaaf. En die enigste ander rol van die konvokasie is om ten minste een vergadering jaarliks te belê. So Dr. Leslie van Rooij sal nou as president waarneem totdat daar 'n nuwe president aangewys word. What about challenges and opportunities? Now, we're all aware of the challenge brought about by the publication of the article earlier this year, which rightfully led to a great deal of anger, dismay, and indignation. So this then resulted to the adoption of, as you can see at the bottom there, by Senate and also by Council, most recently, of the Global Code of Conduct for Research in Resource-Poor Settings. And this is a code that will be adhered to across Stellenbosch University. It serves as a guideline for equitable and fair relationships between researchers and the communities, particularly poor and marginalized groups, among which they conduct their research, and is based on fairness, respect, compassion, and honesty. So, furthermore, and I think it's important that we adhere to this. Furthermore, Professor Kluter reported to Council that the comprehensive inquiry into various aspects of the article had now been completed, and more information will be shared with role players as soon as possible. And furthermore, you're well aware of the Stellenbosch brand, and that building and reparations will now take place there. It's already ongoing, and it will fully reopen in 2021. Enough is enough. And this is regarding our response to gender-based violence. It had a big impact at Stellenbosch University. There were nationwide protests, and this led to constructive dialogue between management and the anti-GBV movement at Stellenbosch University. It led to 6 joint working groups being set up. They set out there in terms of the thematic areas that they'll address with regard to values and principles, safety and security, training and awareness, residences and structures, procedures and processes, mental health, alcohol and substance abuse. This will be led by Dr. Choice Maketa, the Senior Director for Student Affairs, and members from Directorate and Senior Management will also be part of these working groups. I will form part of working group number 6, the Mental Health, Alcohol and Substance Abuse working group. So let me give you some feedback from Council. The Council meeting on the 2nd of December 2019. Firstly, the budget for 2020 was approved, and this budget is so if one looks at the total budget, not only the main budget, so it's the integrated budget, which would include the 3rd, 4th and 5th income streams. It's a total budget of 6.7 billion rand, of which the 3rd, 4th and 5th streams would compile 47.3%, the state subsidy 27%, student fees 23%. The main budget is 3.1 billion, and this is divided, as you can see here on the slide. Half of it goes to faculties, 27% institutionally, 21% to the professional administrative support services, and 2.6% in the strategic fund. There's a very significant investment by the strategic fund into our Vision 2040 in the strategic plan to really align with what we, in terms of the themes as we're going forward. There's a significant investment also in our newly established School for Data Science and Computational Thinking. So, tuition, student fees, with regard to tuition increase, we budgeted for a 6.2% increase, which is within the social compact that USAF and DHET had agreed upon. There will also be some differentiated adjustments, and there's a 6 and an 8% increase in the housing budget. It is important to note that this budget has been approved by Council, but if there are any subsequent changes to be made, then the Chair of Council and myself could sign off on that. With regard to staff remuneration, there was a recommendation accepted that staff remuneration will be increased by 5.5% for those who attained a performance score of 3 or higher in the 2019 appraisal cycle. This proposed increase is markedly above inflation, which stood at 3.7% in October. Some extremely good news, I think, for staff is the announcement that INET key will fall henceforth. So over the next few months that will be phased out. So in terms of the announcements from Council, I encourage you to read the communication from Council. We welcomed again the Constitutional Court on SU, the decision, the unanimous ruling on the 10th of October on our language policy. I encourage you to read Judge Foury's report in full. I think you'll find it some interesting reading. The budget 2020 I talked about, and then also at the most recent council meeting, the Vice Rector of Learning and Teaching, Professor Arnold Skoonwinkel, reported on his responsibility centers, and I think it was and I really encourage you to also look at his report and to see the version of his PowerPoint presentation that he had presented at council. And I'm especially pleased at the progress that we're showing in terms of our diversity of our student body, and as well as the emphasis that we are going to put in the next year and years period on hybrid learning, on how we are going to, which combines online components with traditional contact lectures. There was also a report by the Language Committee of Council in a most recent survey that was conducted among students in September 2019, which pointed to a high level of compliance with the implementation of the 3 teaching language options. Already mentioned some of the capital projects, but specifically 2 of them is the progress with regard to the Jan Mouton Learning Center next to the Nielsen. That will be completed towards the mid of 2020. And then construction of our new Biomedical Research Institute at the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences is making rapid progress, and it will be completed in 2022. It's really worthwhile to look at some of the slides or photographs there. A really impressive biorepository unit that was installed there. It's a minus 80-degree unit that really is state of the art. There's a report back regarding the NRF ratings. I think very interestingly and importantly is the launch of the Stellenbosch network. So we're a founding member of this network. It's aimed at facilitating inclusive economic growth for the greater Stellenbosch area, but it brings together local business, academics, entrepreneurs, investors, researchers, students, local multinationals, and the municipality to establish Stellenbosch as a knowledge region economy. So this all plays to what you see here. It leads to realization of our Vision 2040, where we want to be Africa's leading research-intensive university, globally recognized as excellent, inclusive and innovative, advancing knowledge in service of society and doing it in a saam vorentoe sin, in the sense of moving together forward. So I'm also pleased to that tonight at STIAS we're again having a joint celebration and occasion where we are acknowledging our top researchers, our top lecturers, thought leaders, and also some of the media awards that we'd received recently. So there'll be 11 awards for our lecturers and 44 for excellent research, and we recently received 33 media awards for communication in education, in education, so-called MACE awards. So it's really congratulations in advance. Graduation ceremony is next week. 9 ceremonies. First time that we'll have 9 ceremonies. Is that right, Registrar? And in March next year we will be having 3 ceremonies a day. A little bit shorter, but and so again a record 5,853 qualifications to be awarded, including 154 doctorates. It's 5 more than last year for the December ceremonies, and the South African actor and playwright John Carney will be receiving an honorary doctorate on the Friday, I believe. Yeah, next Friday. So I just want to thank all of our staff members, not just the lecturers and the supervisors, who really help us to take our mission forward, and for what you've achieved this year and attained this year. I'm so pleased with how we're moving along. It's a complex business. It's challenging. It's very rewarding, and I think we're all privileged to be part of this endeavor. And that also speaks to some of the Chancellor's Awards that are being awarded in 2019. And you can see the list of 15 there, including, I don't want to necessarily say, but Dr. Jerome Slamat will be retiring at the end of the year. Mrs. Susan van der Merwe, who's been a stalwart at these graduation ceremonies, she will also be retiring. Professor Yusuf Chikta from Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences will be retiring, and he's also stepping down from council. So I think we should really congratulate all these awardees. And then these 2 massive projects that we've embarked on. Sunfin, Sun Student. It really warms the registrar's heart. Our Chief Director of Finance, Marnie Lombard, is so excited about this, to get rid of the black screen. But it's this the need to change. We need to have a new system, a look and feel, the functionality, business processes. We're all going to be impacted by this. It'll change the way we do things, and I think you're all being kept abreast and aware of the timeline of the project. But these types of projects, they're not easy, and we cannot afford for them to fail. So the next year, 2 years, they will be implemented, and they'll make huge changes in the way that the university functions. So this is our monolithic brand for the time being, and it will be implemented over the next couple of months, because this is what we cannot have anymore. Enough said. Because there is only one Stellenbosch University and only one Stellenbosch brand, and this is it for the time being. So thank you very much. I'll be glad to take any questions.
Colleagues, any questions to the Rector or to the Rector's management team that you may have on your side? Okay, if there's one, I'll take in threes. There's one. Is that the only question? Okay, another one. Okay, three.
Hello, I'm even serious. I'm not going to tell from Mr. Pardon, I might get in trouble. For the vulnerabilities, I can certainly understand your position as a leader of the university and a representative. You've got to satisfy a lot of parties, and probably balancing that on a knife edge. I certainly appreciate what you're doing. Vision 2040, three questions putting me under pressure. What is holding us back? You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel that there's a certain middle management that's holding us back, and you can see from the non-attendance of some of them where they stand, and it's difficult for us moving forward, as you said, saam vorentoe. So, don't know if you can answer that for me now. What is holding us back for Vision 2040?
Thank you, Mr. Seals. Professor Jonker.
Thank you, Mr. Rector. I just want to ask, in the invitation to this meeting, it was indicated that feedback will be given on the survey that was done on HR. Any update on that?
Okay. And the third one here, Mr. Davidson.
Sorry, it was the same question.
Okay. Thank you. Take that.
Mr. Seals, with regard to Vision 2040 and the why are we not already at Vision 2040 in 2024, in a sense? I honestly think there's very little holding us back at this time. I think we've got folks who are really engaged in the process going forward. Prof. Klopper is leading that, and Barbara Poole is leading those efforts in terms of the rollout of the different strategies, the key strategic themes, and the KPIs that will help us to attain that. So, look, change is always difficult, and it's a continuous effort to manage change. I mean, there is this old truism, and I've said it so often, but I do love it, because it's they said at universities, or actually, it's more difficult to change the course of history than a history course at a university. So, in that sense, there's what you may be alluding to. Is there this sense of complacency? We're fine what we're doing, but we'll keep chipping away at that too, because in the modern 21st century university, it's not good enough to just continue what we are. We need to, we've shown some of that in terms of establishing the School for Data Science and Computational Thinking. We've joined the Global Alliance of Universities on Climate. These are exciting new things, but we can't not only just take on things. We need to stop doing things that are also not working well. And therefore, I'm pleased that we're going to be getting rid of the black screen, the swart skerm. And that is that's Sunfin, Sun Student. Those are things that will really enable us to get to that vision quicker. I think the reason why we were somewhat conservative in that is it's bold, and we say we want to be the foremost research-intensive university, and there's a bit of a lag phase in that as to how to do that, because there's a lot of international reputation, it's international publication. It takes a while to change these perceptions to have a positive impact. So we were a little bit conservative there, maybe. I wonder, in terms of the HR survey, clearly we're not going to give a feedback on that. But we can say that the Rectorate received a report on that, and also with regard to the various options and recommendations that maybe that are considered. And with respect to that specific um, interventions or specific suggestions will be implemented over the next couple of years. I don't know, Eugene, if you wanted to say anything more in that regard. Oh, that's being, I was reminded, the HR, that, what I'm talking about was broad principles that were presented to the rectorate. Broad principles. The survey is actually being analysed at the moment. So we don't actually have that, the exact data yet.
Right, so let's take another round if there is. There's one hand, another one. Okay, there's two questions.
Hi, yes, Mr. Rector, I'm Dr. Jordan from Arts and Social Sciences. I was also interested to know about the wellness survey, because that was also on the invitation. Feedback from the wellness survey, because I was also not surprised but puzzled why with the anti-GBV task teams or work groups, the mental health was put in the same category as alcohol abuse and drug abuse. Why is that when mental health is such a problem at the university, why is that not a separate issue, or is that not related to the anti-GBV?
Okay, other question.
Thank you, Prof. Thanks for the presentation. Yekim Sultan from Student Affairs. Prof, you just recently came back with your team from the Gender Commission, if I'm not mistaken. I would like you maybe to provide us maybe with insight in terms of what were some of the key issues, highlights and shortcomings that were maybe addressed and issues for us to maybe look at moving forward as an institution with respect to gender, equality and maybe transformation at large. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with regard to the wellness survey, I apologize if you think you were brought here under false pretenses, but we also don't have the full results of that survey available. You mentioned the grouping under the 6th task working group on mental health, alcohol and substance abuse, etc. We certainly fully aware, and it's actually in higher education sector generally, that there's increasing concern about mental health aspects among students. And I see this particularly in my role, not only at Stellenbosch, but also as chair of higher health. And higher health was previously known as the higher education aids. And that its formal, and that speaks perhaps to its linking together, its formal name, so it just reflects that in the working group, is student wellness, health, and mental health. So it's a grouping of these things together, which reflects the holistic approach to all of these. You're correct, we took a huge group of us, delegation to present at the Gender Equality Commission last week. We were one of 3 universities there. It was University of Johannesburg, University of Free State, and us. And to be quite honest, we were extremely well received. It was an update on a presentation that we'd done 2 years ago, where we reported on progress and or lack of progress, and there was progress. It's incomplete. We're not perfect at all. We're resolute in our journey going ahead, and it speaks to with regard to, for example, in terms of the specific and the gender numbers. We actually employ more females at this university than males. We employ more. We have more female students. But if you break this down by gender and race, of course, we have a different picture. So we could inform the Commission as to the efforts that are being made in terms of representation, specifically at higher post levels, and we could also inform the Commission on the recent adoption of the management, a code of management practices on employment equity. So certainly I think there is significant progress in this regard.
There's a hand right at the back. Any others?
Yeah, Professor, I just want to ask you a question. I think it's still fresh in your mind that fees must fall as they have a huge effect on how we place ourselves and how we understand ourselves. You and your team has taken out interdicts against students that were part of this university and stood up for what they believe were correct and what was needed. A lot of students are benefiting from the fees must fall movement in terms of the new grant was instituted by the DHET and government. There are interdicts still against those students. Those students, they can do no more harm to the university. You've seen at UCT there was an institution of a committee that dealt with what went wrong. I think as an institution we cannot run away from that. That stuff happened and there was fault on both sides, both management and both those that stood up for it. Can I request that you and your team review, in terms of those interdicts still standing that will prevent students from actually belonging to professional bodies? And is there anything that you can do about it? Because those students are still suffering. Maybe you're not aware of that, but they are suffering. Some of those students were banished from Stellenbosch, as coming back here. They have no influence and harm to the university anymore. Can you consider with your team to re-look at that and see what is it that you can do if you say, step vorentoe, saam vorentoe? Can we do some reparations in this regard, please?
Okay. Is there anyone else before I give Mr. Seals a chance again? Okay, so then we close off with Mr. Seals.
Nobody else seems to be concerned. Talk about the black screen moving to a new type of screen, whatever color screen that is. It seems it's another project that the university is taking on, and I'm a bit concerned about such major projects. We've moved from copper wire to a fiber wire, and that took a long time. And it convenienced us as a department, our services to the students, to everybody. We were so in the dark with what's going on and what's going to happen next. It's problematic. I don't know whether this lengthy delay was planned or whatever, but from my side, once again, I'm not going to say from which department I'm a bit concerned about these projects. Is there competent people running these things? That's my concern. We're moving from one system to a new system, which is a good thing. We must move away from that and make it more easily user-friendly, the system. But how long it is going to take? How is it going to inconvenience us on service delivery to our clients? And that's one thing that I think that needs to be recognized in the university, that all services provided, like financial services, they say services, but they're not treating us as clients. We've got clients, I've got clients that I must serve, I've got postdoctoral students, first year, second year, third year, researchers that I must do a more or less professional service to, but I feel that I'm not getting a more or less professional service from the parties involved.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think both of these two speakers are really comments rather than specific questions, if I may say so. With regard to systems renewal, SunFin and SunStudent, they are big systems, and I believe we have very professional people implementing them over the next few months. But I think what you point out is that even though embedded in both these two implementation processes, one thinks that one communicates enough, and it's never enough. So one should redouble and make sure that you take your people with you in terms of different workshops and interactions. So I've actually been part of a number of workshops where the demands of these changes are illustrated. Maar ek dink 'n mens kan nooit genoeg kommunikeer en mense inlig oor hoe hierdie sisteme dit makliker vir hulle gaan maak nie. In terms of student protests and fees must fall, etc., and the question of the interdicts, I think I must point to a basic principle, is that we fully respect the right of student staff, etc., to protest. But where we draw the line is where this impacts on the functioning of the university, of our core functions, teaching and learning, research, etc. And also where a minority might illegally and or criminally impact on the rights of a majority. I think that's very important. So I give that as a background. So there may be some criminal cases that are pending or not pending, and then there are other things that are pending. But what I will say is that our legal department, they're certainly looking at this situation, and I can commit that we will look at this very soon as to whether ongoing interdicts of this nature would still be applicable. Dr. Slamat is kicking me off here because you need to get to your boxed lunches. But what I do want to say, I really want to thank you all for coming today, but more than that, I want to thank you for your significant contribution to this university and its success. Ek dink daar's geen kwessie dat die universiteit is reg 'n baken van uitnemendheid in die land. Ons kan baie trots wees almal op die universiteit en wat het bereik. Dit maak dit nie altyd maklik in die uitdagings nie, en ek kan vir julle glad nie beloof dat 2020 nie selfs 'n moeiliker jaar as 2019 gaan wees nie. But I really feel we are equipped to deal with anything that comes our way, because it's a great place to work at. We're doing wonderful work. You see all this pipeline of wonderful people that we're delivering to our country, and it's a privilege for me to be working with you for our young people. Thank you.
Colleagues, you are invited to eat and drinks in the foyer. This is also part of this function. All the best for the last tasks, and may you enjoy a peaceful holiday. Thank you.